Rebecca, thank you. I'd like to... you have an enormous set of gonads, as we were talking about yesterday. I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't be able to. I would have broken down and cried in a corner a long time ago. You were talking about prominent atheists writing to conference organizers, asking, well, demanding that you be blacklisted. I know this is an iffy subject, but I would hope that if the IFCA and the AAI have received threatening emails about you, I would hope that they would publicize them, just like PC, for example, publicizes his hate mail if there are threats of violence. So I know it's difficult, but I think we need more naming and shaming.
Yeah, something very interesting has been happening. First of all, to address the first thing you said about gonads, we were talking before about how, a common American saying is that somebody's got balls, but balls are actually quite weak. But also they're gender specific. Gonads is good for everybody. But yeah, I get a lot of harassment, but I get also a lot of inspiration, particularly from those who support me, and also from people like Taslima, who I see facing 1,000,000 times more harassment and endangerment than, I'm in an extraordinarily privileged position, and that's why I speak out about it, because I can, because I know that there are a lot of other women out there who don't have my privileged position to speak, and so it becomes it's a duty that I gladly take. I saw some people bring up the idea of naming and shaming, and it broke my heart, because I saw a number of people say, we can't, because Rebecca last year said that an anonymous man happened to hit on her and she wasn't really big on it, and hey, please don't do that. And look what happened to her. Can you imagine what would happen to us if we came out and said, this man grabbed my butt? They would be ripped to shreds on the internet. And so it's heartbreaking, because, in a respect, that means that the loud minority is winning, in a way, because they've successfully silenced other women who are seeing me as I'm being made an example of. However, out of this conversation is coming a lot of positive stuff. Like, for instance, one of my favorite recommendations, which I think came from either Jen or Stephanie Zahn, who blogs at Almost Diamonds, which is that we should encourage conferences to make a firm statement of anti-harassment policy, and that they should stick to that. If any woman makes a complaint, they should take it very seriously. And that's one small step that could help people feel more comfortable and could help people come out to conferences when otherwise they might be too concerned. So you can check in on those blogs and see the ongoing discussion. It's been really positive overall.
Thank you, Rebecca. I have a question. Can you tell us a bit about the position of the Obama government concerning these trials on the state level to make the laws stronger concerning women's rights, or perhaps of Obama's wife, because she is very, strong position in the US. Does he stand up against this thinking, or is there any official position of Obama and his government?
Unfortunately, not really. The insidiousness of the religious rights attack is in avoiding federal bills. What they do is, the usual plan of attack is to introduce a bill at the federal level that they know will never pass because it's unconstitutional. For instance, the fetal pain law that would outlaw abortion at 20 weeks. They know it'll fail, and when it does, what happens is that all 50 states then immediately submit the exact same bill to their state legislatures, and many Americans pay attention to what's happening at the federal level, but don't pay attention to what's happening at the state level. So these laws are able to sneak through, much to the chagrin of those of us who are shouting and trying to get people's attention. So no, Obama has not been strong on this issue, and in fact, A different but related issue recently is the topic of gay marriage. Everyone was very happy when Obama finally admitted that he's okay with same-sex marriage. Yet, in the same statement, he asserted states' rights in legislating whether or not they would like same-sex marriage. So, in that statement, it was actually quite disappointing because what he's saying is that each state can decide who has civil rights. And that's not a good precedent to set.
Hi, Rebecca. Do you have any idea what percentage of women do participate online in atheism activism and versus the number that shows up at conferences like this?
Well, first of all, you were in the cathedral with me, right?
Yeah.
I ran into you.
Yeah.
Did you get sick?
No.
No, just me. Okay, just checking. So the percentage of women who are active online, interesting topic. When I first got involved in the atheist community online, and I should say atheist and skeptic, because I've always done activism in both realms, and I tend to mash them together, much to the chagrin of many people. But when I first got started, I noticed that the percentage of people online tended to be, of women online, tended to be around 30%. Whenever I saw forums and websites I would go to do, informal polls, it would usually be around 30% women. And also at the time, the large conferences I was attending were anywhere from 20 to 30% on the high end women. Excuse me. And that was during a time when most of the major players on the blogging scene were men, and most of the people on stage at the conferences were men. And then I started getting angry about that. So I started working with organizations like James Randi Educational Foundation, and they did a really great job of overall of listening to our complaints. And over at Skepchick, years ago, we compiled this long list of potential women speakers that they can invite out. And so each year we would give it to them. Have you considered any of these? And eventually they started doing it. They started getting more and more women up on stage. And last year at the Amazing Meeting in Las Vegas, which has maybe 1,500, I think, attendees, there was a 50% male-female split, 50-50, it's unheard of in these communities, unfortunately. But you could see it in the audience. The audience, I don't know if they took exact figures, but eyeballing it, I would say there were probably 40% women. And also, on Skepchick, I put out a poll several years ago, and I was surprised that my readership wasn't doing much better in terms of male-female split. I think I had maybe 35% women, so a little bit more, but not much. But I wasn't really covering a lot of feminist issues or even skeptical issues that were very specific to women. I was covering general issues. And then I started hiring is weird because I only just started paying them, but forcing to work for free for me. A lot more women, and particularly women who, for instance, several mothers who were very interested in addressing vaccination issues. Anti-vaccination proponents tend to focus largely on mothers. So these women could come forward and speak directly to mothers from mothers. They knew the language, and they were much better at getting through to mothers than a male speaker would be. And so anyway, over the years, we've drastically increased the number of posts that involve both skepticism and feminism in some way, or women's issues in some way. And I gave a poll just a few months ago, and I don't remember the exact figure, but I think we were at 55% women. So we nudged it over the 50-50 line. I guess now we have to start doing more male stuff so we can balance it out again. But, so what I think that shows is that, one, it's getting better. We're getting more women up on stage, and that's getting more women in the audience, and that's making other women feel more comfortable. They look at the photos and they see people like them. It makes them feel more comfortable. So it's getting better, and also we see that the more we focus on women's issues, the more women we get in the audience. And I should also mention that I think the same is true for people of color. I noticed that the more we talk about diversity issues, the more people of color we get in our audience, the more people of color we put on stage, the more we get in the audience, as well as people with disabilities is another marginalized group that we're trying to get to come out, because there are a lot of, for instance, charlatans who focus on people with disabilities. So I think our community gets better the more we think about who these marginalized groups are and how we can relate our message to them and make them feel comfortable in our community. We all get better for it. Anyone else? Hi.
Has Richard Dawkins responded to you, or even better, apologized to you yet?
No and no. That's all I got on that. Anyone else? All right, well, thank you very much, everyone.
Very good talk about that. Yes. Say hello, Phil. How we know you well. There we go, that shot. The heat is killing me.
Next speaker is
It's like a sauna. It's warm in here, everyone.
He will